dear Jehovah's Witnesses and public general. Here you can see in your monitors the Watchtower Library CD-ROM showing the Awake magazine dated April 22, 1970 that reads as follows. Changes that disturb people. The churches are in rapid decline. Even in the United States, where religion still enjoys perhaps the greatest popularity, nearly 3 out of 4 persons polled said that it is losing influence. Why is there this decline in religion? One of the reasons is that people are disturbed by what is happening in their churches. Yes, millions of persons have been shocked to learn that things they were taught as being vital for salvation are now considered by their church to be wrong. Have you, too, felt discouragement, or even despair, because of what is happening in your church? A businessman in Medellin, Colombia, expressed the effect the changes have had on many. Tell me, he asked, how can I have confidence in anything? How can I believe in the Bible, in God, or have faith? Just 10 years ago we Catholics said the absolute truth. We put all our faith in this. Now the Pope and our priests are telling us this is not the way to believe anymore, but we are to believe new things. How do I know the new things will be the truth in 5 years? But we can add something else to this article not told by the faithful and discreet slave. Millions of persons and you members of the Watchtower Society have been shocked to learn that things they were taught by the faithful and discreet slave, some doctrines believed for so many years, and some others doctrines believed for a short period of time as being vital for salvation are now considered by our organization to be wrong, to be all older lights that turned off. Have you, too, felt discouragement, or even despair, because of what is happening inside the Watchtower Society? A Jehovah's Witness in Colombia expressed the effect the doctrine's changes have had on the brethren of his congregation, mainly within the elders. Tell me, he asked, how can I have confidence in anything? How can I believe in the Bible, in God, or have faith? Just 4 years ago we Jehovah's Witnesses had the absolute truth starting teaching in the Watchtower magazine dated February 15, 2008 page 24, the correct interpretation of the term generation of Matthew 24:34 as the anointed ones making up the modern-day generation of contemporaries that will not pass away until all these things occur. This suggested that some who were Christ's anointed brothers would still be alive on earth when the foretold Great Tribulation begins. We put all our faith in this teaching of the bright sort of food at the proper time, and we preach this true given by Jesus house to house in the field service. Now the president of the Watchtower and our faithful and discreet slave are telling us, 4 years later, that this is not the way to believe and teach anymore, but we are to believe and teach a new shining light as published in the Watchtower magazine, April 15, 2010 page 10, in which generation of Matthew 24:34 means now the lives of the anointed who were on hand when the sign began to become evident in 1914 would overlap with the lives of other anointed ones who would see the start of the Great Tribulation. But this is not all. There is another sad case in which the Watchtower Society gave us the correct interpretation of the parable of the sheep and the goats of Matthew 25 verses 31 to 46, as caused to be given directly by Jehovah God to Judge Rutherford in 1923. According to the Watchtower magazine, November 15, 1955, page 698, paragraph 36, in 1923 Jehovah God provided the correct interpretation of the parable of the sheep and the goats. God showed the righteous earthly ones to be other sheep whom his right shepherd must gather into the fold to make them one flock with spiritual Israelite sheep under one shepherd. This work of gathering the other sheep, referring the other sheep class people still inside the nations, started during the second parousia of Jesus in 1914 by the field service house to house. Those who accepted the message were the sheep, and those who refused the message were the goats. That was the teaching for 72 long years, since 1923 to 1995, that this parable of the sheep and the goats started to accomplished in 1915. during the second parousia of Jesus. Suddenly, in 1995, the faithful and discreet slave said to all of us in all nations that this is not the way to believe and teach anymore, although it was caused by the same Jehovah God in 1923, but we are to believe and teach to the world and our members a new shining light that turned off previous old light given by God in 1923 to Judge Rutherford. This new light was given in the Watchtower magazine dated October 15, 1995, pages 23 to 28, explaining that this parable of the sheep and the goats will be accomplished only in the future, and not in 1914 as taught for 72 long years, only after the future great tribulation occurs, when the sign of the Son of Man will appear in heaven, and then all the tribes of the earth will beat themselves in lamentation, and they will see the Son of Man, coming with power and great glory to make the separation of the sheep and goats. How do I know the new things or new lights given by the slave class will be the only truth in 5 years or less? No doubt, but the Watchtower Society of Jehovah's Witnesses is not better than the other religions of Christianity. I would say is one of the worst of all for his record of lights that turn on and off at any time and for their false doomsday dates given throughout its history.